All right. All right. Let's get this going. Skitting is in the house. Chug,
What's
can you
up,
hear me?
brother?
Hey,
Yes,
man, how are
sir.
you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
great, man. Excited to have you on today. So,
yeah.
how you been doing? I haven't talked to you. I know we've been texting a little bit, but how you been doing?
Pretty good, man. Just so much going on inside of outside of crypto, right? With personal business, other businesses. It's makes your head spin. But I think the important thing is to, see the long term business plan and, work with people like yourself and others that mean well and do well and have a tighter business, Together, we're gonna be successful, right? Maybe not today or tomorrow, but certainly months, 2 months, 6 months, a year down the road.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I came up with this topic early or late last week. Just kind of thinking about real businesses, right, and the meme business and what we're doing and what people are trying to do in right now in this space. And you actually were the first one to come to mind, right? Knowing a little bit about your background and how hard we work in our real life, right? Our real life business. Um, we have a lot in common when it comes to that, but also how hard we work in the meme business, and I think that it's important that we just share some of that knowledge that the community, your community, our community, and then other people who are just here, right, wanting to learn more about crypto, getting knowing what type of projects to invest in, and some of the behind the scenes stuff and what we do in real life. So I appreciate you, making the time on this Friday to
Yeah.
join me on this and stuff. But something that I wanted to, we're celebrating a birthday today. I don't know if anyone realizes that we're celebrating 17 years, of the Bitcoin white paper, and so it's
Wow.
amazing, right? Just something to earmark and kind of mark, right? You realize that there's so like we're so impatient, right, when it comes to crypto projects. But think about it, 17 years that the white paper was released today. And so it kind of sometimes I got to look for things to stay positive about because it gets so hard and sometimes lonely, right, when you're in the trenches and trying to build something good. So happy birthday to the Bitcoin white paper today, everybody. Happy birthday.
Happy
So
birthday to you. Yes.
yeah, yeah. You're a little staticky, you're echoing a little bit. Hopefully that's you're in a decent location,
Oh,
Chug.
sorry. How's that?
Yeah, that's better. That's
Okay,
better.
good, good.
So so just a couple of things, right? Let's talk a little bit about um, kind of real business. Tell me a little bit. Tell everyone, um, kind of how's your real business compared to the meme business, right? Like some of the things is there any comparison for you other than working hard, right?
Yeah, no, crypto's harder.
Yeah.
I think we can agree
Uh,
there. It's 24/7 all the time, right? Uh, yeah. Where our businesses are typically Monday through Friday, with once in a while you get a panic call at, early in the morning or something, but crypto is all the time, um, and it's just it's a different animal, right? One thing you're dealing with real tangible assets, how do you make those worth money and how do you, make that a solvent perpetual business? And crypto's, this digital, intangible thing or things that it can be worth a lot of money or worth nothing, and really, and to make it worth a lot of money or no money, it's just significantly different than, we call it the real world, if you will. And so to balance those two and be successful is, they're different worlds, right? And so it's really important to understand that. And, we brought a lot of business approach, from our businesses outside into Skitten LLC. And they work, there's lots of parallel, there's lots of overlap, but there are various differences, right? I think the one is, hopium, if you will, or virality, attention, community engagement. What is that really worth? Well, it turns out it's worth a lot. But can you truly quantify that? And I don't think you can, but our success in the crypto world is really heavily weighed against it, right? And so it makes it incredibly difficult. Like, your on-chain TV, what is that worth in the real business world? Immense amount of money. But in the crypto world, it's getting the word out, right? It's getting people on board. It's getting people to believe, right? And it's just, you know, um, in our businesses, it's how much effort can I put in equals how much money I can make. Crypto's a little different is how can I compel people to believe in what we're trying to do and to hold, and that our collective liquidity pool becomes worth much more because of what we've done, right? Not what I've done necessarily, but what we've done. So it's yeah, to answer your question, there's lots of parallels, there's lots of differences, right? And to juggle those too, it's a monumental task. And to your point, 17 years, right? Crypto, if your token's around for 6 months, you're an old man, you're an OG, right? And so, it's important to build plans and stick to them, short term, intermediate, and long term, and just follow them. Because crypto, look what we've been seeing, right? It's been kind of lame, it's kind of up and down, geopolitical nonsense that really affects our valuations when technically they shouldn't, but they do.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's speaking of being around 6 months. Look, we are fast approaching our 1 year anniversary for the Banks family and Banks community. So we're November 9th will be 1 year for us. So we're super excited, right? Like, like you said, most projects, man, they don't you don't see 6 months, So I would love to tell you it's been easy all the way through, but it hasn't. It's been challenging. But I will tell you at the end of the day, it's been fun. It really has. And because we're building something real, something, of substance. And so that is, really good. So thank you, Chug, for that. But look, let's talk about, kind of economics versus tokenomics for a minute, right? What's, the differences, right? What's the clearest way to explain the difference to a normie, right? How would you explain, your traditional business to what we know as tokenomics in the crypto space?
Yeah, this is always kind of a tough one. But a real business is, I wouldn't call it real business, but outside of crypto business, right? You have tangible assets, you have operating incomes, you have valuation. It's something that you generate, like you create a business that generates consistent, sustainable revenue, right? And if it's successful, in perpetuity, you grow, the business grows, you can hire more people, right? And it kind of grows in natural, ideology or instinct. Sorry, cat's going crazy. Meme business is a little different, right? It's, like I said earlier, there's a lot, by and large, there's not a lot of tangible assets in the meme culture or crypto, right? We're in the digital domain. And so attention, right? Community engagement, culture, turning something funny into something valuable, right? How do you do that? That's a really hard thing. If we knew the absolute answer, we'd all be rich.
Yeah, no, 100%, but when and I know for your project, right, we're a little bit different on both sides. Skitten was actually was CTO'd, right? So
Yes.
you CTO'd Skitten, and Banks was, we fair launched Banks, and we were the original ones that launched Banks. And there's tell us, I kind of want to know, I know some of it from talking to you, but tell us some of the struggles, right, from the CTO process, that the community could understand, and the struggles that you had with that, and even maybe still today, right? What did that look like overall?
Sure. Yeah. 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 We CTO'd, we're about a month behind you in terms of, age.
Yep.
December 10th is when we launched, CTO'd like the following day. And I never ever considered myself to get in the meme culture, right? I didn't see the value, honestly. But I took a chance and got rugged, and here we are a year later. So, but and at the time, right? I legitimately, I knew meme coins made lots of millionaires, right? Because of what it offers. But that's just like winning the lottery. It's very few and far between, right? And so, and memes without, uh, in my business experience, right? If you have a business and it doesn't generate revenue, it's going to die, and it's going to die as soon as all the capital is gone, right? And so I tried to use a lot of that ideology or business acumen into meme culture because I really didn't see it. So what do you do, right? You try to generate revenue, right, with tangible assets, things in the world, grow the brand, right? So we were kind of taking the ideology of meme culture is really a function of how many people know about it, right? That want to support it, think it's funny, whatever it is. So we kind of took that ideology and tried to put that into socials, put that into art, put that into tangible things, merchandise, video games, things like that could help spread, and maybe it doesn't make us money initially, but it spreads the growth. It spreads the understanding of what we are, what we represent, what our plans are, right? And the more people know, statistically, the more valuable you can be worth, right? And that's in regular business and crypto business, right? Certainly in the meme culture. And so we were trying to take our business expertise, if you will, and bring that over to the meme culture. And it's worked out, right? As any legitimate business, it's not going to happen overnight, right? It might take months, sometimes years. Statistically, businesses don't last longer than 2 years, right? And so if you can get to that point and you're still around, by and large, you made it. Maybe you're not rich, but you've created a perpetual or a flywheel that people like to use the buzz term now that is kind of self-sustaining, and now it can start growing, right? And our TikTok has 300,000 followers, right? And it took us a really long time to get to 15,000, but for whatever reason, something triggered. And, we went from a couple dozen, a couple hundred people to follow us to thousands following us in a day. Right. And so, the flywheel really started gaining momentum. And because of that, we started becoming a globally known brand. We have a long ways to go. Right. But, charity, opportunity, help, kindness, those things are things that traverse all bounds, right? All cultures, all states, all fucking imaginary lines. And so, if we can kill them with kindness, that's something that people generally appreciate and want to support.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's the other thing. What I think you've done with Skitten really well, where you've got your built-in utility, right? Where you have your raffle, you're doing your merch line. You know, to me, it's kind of like what we're doing with on-chain TV, right? You got to build something real. And you touched on something that I say, and I've been saying it a lot lately, and I'm going to say it again in this space, is I personally believe that meme coins are the new altcoin. And I hit some resistance from some people, right? What do you mean by that? But the reality is, meme coins are always going to kind of have fun, unique, right? Something, there's not a whole lot behind them. Altcoins, right? The utility of an altcoin is it's going to be so big, right? When we start having institutional companies coming into the space like they are now that we don't know, they're building on the crypto, they're building on the rails already with no token. So some of these great altcoins that we think are out here, they're doing this incredible tech is being done with a token, is being done without a token by Fortune 500 companies. So I just think, collectively, when we're looking at these projects, the meme coin is going to become the new altcoin. And as we continue to go through these cycles in this cycle here, we're going to realize that, when we're investing in the memes, we want to look at memes with utility. Not saying that memes without utilities won't still do well, be a runner, that kind of stuff. But I do believe long term we have to be mindful of having some sort of utility. And we also say that, your community is your first utility, and then you go from there. So there are strictly straight memes that, have great communities and uh, could survive long term, like your Pepe's, possibly your Toshis and stuff like that. But I believe they're a diamond in the rough, right? I think you have utility, like what we're trying to do with On Chain TV, and what you're doing with your merch and the your DAO and the raffle and everything that you're building on your side. I think is going to just show that we're able to do it long term, right, and
Yeah,
not just rely strictly on a meme, on a picture. Because I know you're working on NFT collection as well. But so tell me again, and tell people listening about the adoption, right? What you're really what Skitten is really about.
sure. Yeah, yeah. And just to, before I say that, to your point, right? Memes need to have some kind of utility, right? And you're absolutely right. Like, the first mover advantage is a real thing. Those first memes that came to base, they came to other places, right? They didn't have to have anything necessarily like a utility because there was nothing to compete against. And so us newbies, even though some people call us OGs at this point, we're coming onto the scene, right? How could we possibly compete with these tried and true guys that have, huge liquidity pools everyone knows about? We need to have something new, something valuable, something that creates revenue and profit, right? And that's where the utility comes in. So I try to call our tokens hybrid tokens. I like to coin that. I don't know if that'll ever stick, but it's kind of the best of both worlds. You have meme culture, that meme community that really pumps it, but then you've run generational, utility behind them, and that's kind of where I come up with the hybrid idea. But
Yeah, I like that.
yeah, and that's how we're going to survive, you guys. That's how any legitimate business survives. It generates revenue, pays its people, pays for advertising, right? So on and so forth. But, no, Skitten, right? By 2027, our long-term business plan, it's on our website, teamskitten.com. But by 2027, we want to help rescue, adopt 10,000 kittens per year, right? In America alone, almost 1 million kittens are euthanized because we don't have the means or the money to find them forever homes, right? And out of those million, about 80% of them are perfectly healthy, right? And we think that's objectively wrong, and we should be able to do better than that, right? And so, that's our main focus. That's what we really want to do. At the end of the day, that's our goal, right? But you can't just pay for 10,000 fucking adoptions per year, with your good looks. You're pretty ugly pretty fast. And so that's what generated, that's what came up with well, how do we pay for this in perpetuity, right? We create businesses, Skin LLC. We grow the brand, and by growing the brand, we can grow the revenue, grow the profit, right? And so, but we really weren't planning on, doing this adoption thing until we had, some pretty significant, capital. However, things have went really well for us. And so, starting in June of this year, we started telling people, hey, if you have adopted a kitten this year and you have the paperwork to prove it, reach out to us, through any of our socials, Telegram, X, whatever the case is. Give us the proof, give us a receipt, give us a cute picture because we want to make a life, but we reimburse $50. And I see some pieces in here that have heard me say that, but it's still true, right? We have about 30 people, 30 adoptions to go this year to hit our goal of 100. So please, we're asking you, if you've done it or are interested in doing it, do it. Reach out to us. We'll take care of you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's what I love about that. Like, I'm not a cat guy. I'm a dog guy, right? But I love Skitten, right? And I love what you're doing and with Skitten. I just think that's impressive. I've been on a lot of spaces with you over the year, right? And I've heard you say that, and it's one thing to say it, but to actually see you doing it and hearing people, uh, that's done it with you and they've gotten their money, whatnot. So I think that's really cool, man. And I think it's important that we give back and we do stuff like that. So look, just want to say, hi, say hello to Waldo. Thanks for joining us strong. Appreciate you, man. Good seeing you. Rich. Yeah, a bunch of people. Let's keep, let's take a minute and also let's retweet the room and see if we can get a few more people in here. You know, we got some more good questions we're going to talk about today and try to learn something and try to build a little bit bigger, a little bit better for all of us. But look, there's one. Look, I'm gonna love this one, Chug. I want to hear. I think I know exactly what you're going to say on this one, but I want. What does profit look like in the meme business for the team that refuses to dump on its holders, right? Compared to the real business.
Yeah. You know, you know, I think it's a success, especially in any domain, right? But it's a track record proven of integrity, right? Your honesty, your transparency, right? Doing what you say what you do, put your money where your mouth is, right? People are full
Hey,
of
get out of
people.
the tunnel. Are you in the tunnel?
No, no.
All right, you were you were
Oh,
you were sounding like Darth Vader for a minute. Go back.
I,
All right, it's better now.
the force is mighty within you. No,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know where I kind of went off the rails, but to me, success, what does profit look like, right? It's people believe in you. People, we're not here to dump on holders. We're here to, lift up holders, right? We want to build a business, generational wealth, right? That people can be proud of to be a part of. That, an investment versus a gamble. We want to be the former, right? By creating so much opportunity for our holders, right? That you don't need to dump, take your profits, whatever the case is, but you do that by having integrity, by being honest, by being transparent, right? Having an up-to-date white paper, perpetually come up with new ideas, reward holders, right? Grow the brand, and it's just expanding your influence, right? That's one of those things. That's that kind of that meme culture, with the business acumen, right? If you grow the culture, expand your influence, you expand your intangible value, which expands your actual value, right? By people buying your stuff, supporting your stuff, telling their friends, right? Um, it's something that, what crypto's done, meme culture has done, is really empowered the individual, right? For the collective. You know, uh, you can guide a horse to water, but the water has to drink it, right? But the thing is, if we all work together, and we have, right? And there's been tough times, right? We've all agreed there, right? A lot of our tokens have been in the red pretty significantly for the past month and a half. But the thing is, you gotta ignore the noise sometimes, right? Success profit is something that takes a long time, not this day in, day out bullshit, right? Believe in the team. Believe in what you put your money in. If you go to the stock market, you're not just going to throw money arbitrarily at something, because it looks cool. You're going to look at its numbers. You're going to look at who runs the show, the leadership, right? All of these things create and culminate into something that, you know what? I want to invest with this company. I want to exchange my time for, being part of this company, right? And, I think that's no different here.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's just funny because, as a project, I don't, it's, it's almost like we're not, as a project, we're not allowed to take profit,
I
right? The
know.
community gets upset, right? You're not allowed to sell. I know for us, for banks, we haven't sold,
Yeah.
and probably wish we would have sold when we hit 2.5
Yeah.
million, sold a little bit, respectfully sold.
Same,
Um,
same, same.
especially since we're sitting at like 160K today, right?
Uh,
It's painful, right, to be where we are from a market cap perspective. But
yeah.
from a project perspective, probably a lot like Skitten.
Hmm.
It's so positive on the side of the team. I see some of our team members in here as well. Thank you guys for jumping in. And I see that our number one host down there, Bongo. He's down in the audience. Appreciate you, Bongo, for taking a minute. I know you're busy, but but like you said, Chug, we want to we're in it for the long term. So almost taking profit or trying to take a little profit off the table early when you're really working for the community, because you were doing it at such a lower value anyway. So even when you get to, like for us, when we got to 2.5, it was no different than when we're sitting at 160 today, or when we were sitting at 30K. So the work doesn't change because of the market cap. And I just wish the community, and I know there's a lot of good community people, right, that do understand that, right? They're long-term holders. We've had some great ones, and I'm grateful for them. If you're on this call, thank you. But at the end of the day, we're in it for the long haul, right? Not just us. I know Skitten, and I know several other projects that are in it, grinding away. But I just think it's funny, that we're not allowed, to take profit, and
That I know,
because
I
it's,
know.
it's funny, right? But
And
it's
I kind of have a personal, I don't know, maybe this, when we were at our almost 3 million all time high, I had some admins say, take some profit. And I just, and I should have, right? The hindsight's always 2020, but I just don't have it in my heart, right? I don't know. I don't want to disappoint the community and, shame on me, I guess. But I feel your pain, man. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? What
Well,
do
I
you
think you
do?
you set as a lead, right, in the project. You kind of set this internal valuation of what you believe and where you're building, what you're doing. Because like when we hit it, we hadn't even really released, we hadn't really even talked about on chain TV yet, right? Definitely had not launched it yet when we hit 2.5. So for us, we got that internal valuation that we're like, no, like we're just starting, and it's still the case now, right? We know we're going to break all time highs again and beyond. It's just, when you're in it, you're like, it just doesn't feel right, like you said. So, yeah, it was really, really cool to hear you say that as well. But look, the other one, and I want to bring this up because I think, like you said, we've all been in the red, had red days. We're like, we're down, you're down, but yeah, in the crisis playbook, right? Your price nukes by like 50, 60, 70%. What do you do in the next 48, 72 hours? And I bring this question to you because I know you went through a situation, a challenge, and I know you had to take some action. Like, tell us, how you were able to, how you maneuver through some of those hard times. The prices, falling and dropping from other bad behavior.
Yeah, yeah. No, for those who don't know, my account was hacked back in March and, basically sold my entire bag, and our, community wallet. Um, you go from 800,000 to 100,000 in an instant. You don't know what's happening, right? And, you feel like you want to die. You disappear. The terror you don't know what's happening, right? But you see all these cells and all your money's gone. You don't even know what's happening, right? And, your daughter's sitting there looking at you like, you okay? And you don't want to look totally distraught, but the terror is real. And so, at that moment, I could have just walked away. Fuck this. I'm gone. But, as a decent human being and as a leader, I knew in my heart of hearts, I had to get on that VC in our main channel and, tell people, look, I fucked up. I don't know how I fucked up, but I did. We're going to find out what's going on. I'm going to keep you, be as transparent and honest as possible with everyone here, right? I was crying on that VC because, I lost $50,000 in an instant. But also my community, the people that, believed in what we're doing, and we were doing so well at the time, right? They're holding the bag. And, I promised someone, look, I'll do everything in my power to make this right. I'm so sorry. We'll figure out exactly what happened. Let us figure these things out. Give me a little bit of time, but we will, right? And we'll come up with a plan on how we're going to get back on track, right? And that's exactly what we did. First thing was we put a vote out, right? Because we try to be pretty democratic with our community. Should we leave, should we do a multi-signature wallet, right? And it was resounding yes. So, I personally bought 5% of the token and put it in that multi-signature wallet, which is still in there today, has not been touched since March. Right. And then we went over, I shared my screen, and went over all these things, like what happened. Here's the multi-signature wallet. This is how it works. Right. And so, trying to just be as honest and open as humanly possible, right? And I was called a scammer and I was called a rugger, and I get it, man. I understand. But rest assured, I lost more than anyone by far, you know? But, you know, because of our, persistence, because of you know, the trust that we have built even in those first 3 months, right? Enough people believed in us, supported us, that we did get back to where we were, right? We did get back to the 800,000, move back into the millions, right? And so those people took their profits and very well left. I'm not sure, but that's the beauty and the bane of Web3, of crypto, right? You can buy and sell at any moment. But you know, the point is, it's easy to run, right? It's easy to put your head in the sand and to disappear into obscurity in the crypto space, right? Most of us have never seen each other, barely hear each other's voices, don't even know where we live. I am doxxed, right? Because I have nothing to hide. And I want to gain that trust. And so, you know, it's in times of absolute crisis, you know, you're going to be a good leader, right? You better show, you better say you fucked up, and you better have a plan to fix it. You know?
No, yeah, no, 100% for sure. I think it's, sometimes I think when you're honest in this space and transparent, they
Yeah.
take it as weakness, right? They take it as because they're just not used to people telling them the truth,
Right.
right?
Right.
For the exact reason that you said, right? You don't know who they are, right? You're just this voice on the other end, or
Yeah.
this PFP, right, image,
And,
and
and,
they
and
just kind of out.
yeah, well, the reason for that is they've probably been scammed before because of trust, right? It's, you know, I'm a trusting guy, and, you know, during this whole skitting thing, I've probably been scammed fucking, I don't know, 20, 30 times, excluding the big one, right? Before then, just trying to, you know, trying to facilitate and garner interest and help my community out, right? People playing your emotional strings, right? They convince you they're your friend. They might talk to you for 2 weeks, a month and a half, get their friends involved, and then boom, take the money and run, you know? And so people should be apprehensive. People should be concerned, right? But, you know, do your research, and that's my job as a leader and your job as a leader to compel them, to prove to them that we are exactly who we say are, and we're going to do exactly what we say, right? And if we don't, apologize, and you know, be forthright about it and say what we're going to do to fix this, you know? And eventually, hopefully, people will start to be compelled or do believe us and trust us, right? That's, if we can gain the trust of a few people in this space, we're doing a great job.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why, like, Bongo and I, we went out to On-Chain Summit this year in San Francisco. And that was, I will say, getting to put some real faces behind, people, and get to meet them and talk to them, and get to know them a little bit more. That was a good experience, putting some IRL, behind, and being able to do stuff like that, and eat dinner with them, and just kind of go through that little 3-4 days that we were there, with other projects and leaders and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that was, definitely a fun experience for us to do. And hopefully, next year, Chug, you'll join us on that with Skitten. And I think you'd enjoy it, for sure, to do. Well, look,
Absolutely.
let's talk for a minute, Chug, about, compared to like your traditional business, real business, when you hire somebody, and or multiple people, right? What does that look like, when you have? And I know, you hire somebody. Like for us, we have a fairly large team, because of what we're building requires. I think we're at 10, 12 people right now, something like that. But that's because and we're actually hiring every single month, right? We're ramping up, 1 to 2 people probably every single month, for the entire year of 2026. So, you know, that's because of what we're building. But for you and for the Skitten project, tell me, and tell, like, what does that look like, right? Who are you hiring? Who are your first 2 or 3 hires, in your brand? What are you looking for a project that's going to last, like, that you're looking to build something real, right? 24 months plus, um, what are those people, right?
Yeah.
Who are they?
Well, you know, I had to go through a lot of trials and tribulations to this point, right? And even then, you know, you get one or two jerks. But I think more important than virtually any skill is trust, right? Can I trust you, right? Can I trust you to do the right thing? Can I trust you to administer or support Skitten to the best of your ability, right? And so if you can get past, and that takes time, right? You can't. What I've learned in the crypto space, you can't just give people trust, right? You have to let them earn it. My disposition as a person is I give people trust, let them fuck it up. You can't do that in crypto, unfortunately,
Right.
right? They have to prove themselves, and that can take and even then, right? You never know someone like yourself in truthfulness, right? You can always believe someone's truthful to 99.9%, but they're not you, so you can't say with absolute certainty they're not going to do the wrong thing, right? And so, that being said, right, trust. If I can find people that I trust, right, there's a few things that we need to do in the meme culture, right? We need good social. We need socials, right? We need people that can run socials, that can create videos, that can do art, that can help facilitate getting the word out, right? And that usually takes a couple people, right? You have a lead, maybe some assistants, things like that, right? I'm sure I see the guys doing a lot of your socials. They do great work. The videos are excellent. I mean, everything you guys do is right on par with like extraordinary work, right? And so you're kind of we try to follow your capabilities, right? Um, Lead dev, right? We got to have websites. You got to be able to build smart contracts for the DAO, the raffle, things like that. And the thing is trust, right? Because you could commission a dev that maybe, give you a scammy fucking smart contract. And if you don't know what you're doing, they could take your money, right? That's probably not the case, but it happens more than it should, right? So you got to be adamantly aware. Finance, right? Pretty much that part because I spend pretty much all my own personal money. But, be able to tabulate, put all the receipts in, see how much money's being spent, how much money's going out versus how much money's going in, right? It's really critical, especially since we're an LLC, right? When we have to pay taxes at the end of the year, if we make a profit, you need to have all that information itemized, documented, and curtailed. Exactly correct, And as we grow, that becomes more and more prevalent. I think finally, some kind of business or partnership director, right? We need to have someone that's communicating with uh, other projects, other tokens, right? Because, it's so important that, we work together, right? And I appreciate you letting me talk on here. And I really appreciate you, Sean, as a person and as a leader, as an individual, right? That we support each other, right? And as long as we can work together for the betterment of all of us, everyone wins, right? And so having some kind of partnership director, some person that's really personable, kind, consistent, that kind of keeps the ball rolling, that keeps us connected, that helps us support each other is probably almost as important as the trust, right? So, again, trust and, growing the brand is really kind of the main focuses that we really aim. As we grow, right, we'll have to obviously expand into, people that work with charities directly, get bigger partnerships with inside and outside of crypto, right? And so we're just not there yet. We have grown significantly. We have almost 15,000 people a month come to our merch store, according to analytics. And, 6 months ago, it was like 2. And so, I'm very proud of that aspect. And so we keep, the illustrator slash merch builder person. I can't put the social media, but no, illustrator lead that does a lot of that stuff too, which I do a lot of that. So, but
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Thanks for the kind words, man. I appreciate it greatly. Trust me. And I respect you in the space as well. I know for us as a team, and like I said, I see Mitchie on here. I see a few of the team members on here. For us, like I said, we're have a fairly large team, and that's not a flex, right? We just want to do things at a very, very high level, and I believe I've completely sold out to the Banks project on Chain TV and a couple of the things that we're releasing. But I'm completely sold out. This is what we do as a business. This is what we do as our career now. So for us, we got to have leads, right? We've got project manager that, we got social media manager, we got video editors, we got videographer. I mean, I can't even name them all. I just know when the 15th comes, and it's payday, right? It's a fun time, right? Because, they don't get paid in banks. They get paid fiat, right? So it's, it's a good time, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, right? I think, and I'm not sure how many's on here, but at the end of the day, I think we have the best team in crypto. Sorry guys, I think we're the best because of what we do, and in the cult. They believe in us, right? They believe in what we're doing, and I think when you do something, I don't believe in many things that Murad talks about, but I do believe that when Murad says, just believe in something, right? Have conviction in it. And I believe that, I have conviction in what we're doing with banks. I have conviction that there's good projects in this space. And that's one thing that I want to do every single week. In fact, I see Ziggy on here right now. Hey, Ziggy. Ziggy's actually going to be on the space next week with me, like you are today, Skitten. And so the whole goal of these talks is really just to talk to each other about how professional people, right? That we're doing things with integrity, we're doing things with quality. Because I met Waldo. Waldo's up there. I met him out there in San Francisco at On Chain Summit. There's just certain things that we've got. We're out here and we're not going anywhere. So the ones that really are building and digging and doing everything they got to do for the long haul. I want to take the time, right? Because we can't do this stuff without each other. And I just believe that the only way we do that is have more spaces like this, right? Just be more honest and more transparent, right? And let the community hear it. Because when we're here today and here in 6 months from now again, right? Those are going to eventually, right? They're going to rotate into you and say, okay, I found a home, right? I found a home in Skitten, in Ziggy, right? In Banks and other good projects. So that's my goal, in doing these spaces. Once I'm going to do this particular space once a week, with different projects. So, yeah, I just think that that's, the way you said it, for us, it's hiring is, a hard process, for us, it's a long process sometimes. And I know I see Mitchie on there. I think Mitchie does the preliminary interviews for a lot of our team. And, then it kind of moves on up to Bongo and on. But yeah, so, to move on from that, look, there's one more, actually a couple more questions, but there's one that I want to hear from you, because then I've got a nightmare story. But I want to hear yours first on this. What is one painful mistake? I know you kind of talked about the hack, but let's talk the mistake that you made, right, as a lead dev or the team, that you won't repeat, and you've implemented a system to prevent
Gosh, that's a toughie, but I will give it.
it.
I love the hardball questions. No, something that happened about a month ago. Right. And this is that trust thing that I keep reiterating on. Right. So one of our admins, he's been with us for a long time, one of our longest. Right. He's doxed me and everything. He came to me and said, "Hey, there's this thing going on. It's called Blockfest. I want to support, I want to, represent Skitten." I said, "Well, if you get 5 other admins to go with you, I'll pay it, right? Cause $1,000 entrance fee, but you get all these things that came with it, right? Okay, great." And basically this admin did talk to all these people and they're all, yes, they would go. And so, sent him the money to, take care of it. And then he vanished. And I couldn't believe it. Like one of my most dearest, closest, or so I thought, admins took the $1,000 and vanished, into obscurity. It broke my heart, right? I couldn't believe that something's wrong. He didn't, Iva wouldn't just take the money and run, he goes to church, he plays a piano, he's supposed to be a pastor, all these things, just nothing made sense. And, about a week later, he signs on, he messages, "Hey, I feel really bad. What's your wall? I want to send you the money back." And I said, what? Okay. I got $44. And I'm like, like, it's a little too late, man. So he took $1,000 and then wanted to offer me back $44 because, his conscience got the best of him. I said, you know what? Take a hike, man. Like, yeah, if I can help someone out, I'm going to help someone out, right? And so it's like, it puts you between a rock and a hard place, right? Can I not trust my admins? Who can you trust, right? And it's just, it's very, what's the word? It kind of breaks your heart, right? It breaks your heart that you've worked with these people for so long, and yet, there's a weak place in their heart, and they take advantage of you and they disappear, right? And the thing is, I think the important thing is you have to persevere past that, right? Maybe something terrible happened in his life. He could have went a better way of doing that, but I don't hate him for it. It does, makes me depressed and sad that it would come to that. But it's one of those things where if we can't work together, right, we're all gonna fail. And I don't want to fail. And I know you don't want to fail, right? And so what do? You keep on keeping on, right? You got to persevere. You got to, call it a business expenditure, right? A loss. And, you just keep on, but it's not gonna stop us from growing, right? It's just, you can't win them all. Like I said earlier, you can trust people 99.9%, but unless they're you, there's never going to be 100, right? So we take our best guess.
Yeah. Well, all right. That's awesome. Now answer the second part of the question. What have you done to prevent that from giving up, because that to me, right? Not only in like, I kind of fall in the same place you do, right? In real business,
Yeah.
right? Give a little more trust, right? But
Mhm.
in crypto, you really got to put a little more systems or some provincial measurements in there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So, the problem was he garnered my trust over these months, so I didn't have to like really do my diligence on what he was proposing, right? But so that's what I need to do, right? Trust but verify. And I do say that in a lot of spaces, and I do mean it. And I fell victim to not listening to my own words, right? But no matter what, unless it's you must trust but verify. If someone tells you something, you need to verify it, right? And that's why I got scammed. I mean, that's how people get your money is you trust them. They compel you to believe them, right? Whatever that is. And then you make a mistake. A small mistake become a cascading long-term horrible event, right? And so that was on me. And so trust but verify, right? That's,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
no, I get it. I get it. Well, let me give you mine. I'm not sure if you know this. I believe there's someone in the room that probably knows this story, but my mistake, I will say, because I was actually, collectively, I was the one that did it. Painful mistake that I will not repeat again is, so I was scammed by an exchange for $5,000 of Banks tokens, and man, I was just, I went against our internal um, roadmap of, look, we're not doing exchanges, we're not paying, we're not this. Well, there was no paying, right? It was a matter of just give them the tokens. And I actually did some checking, right? Looked at the wallet I sent it to. It had millions of dollars in it. Um, I thought I did a good job, right? But I didn't follow our internal planning and what we were going to do. Kind of did it out of a whim, right? Over a 2 hour period in the morning, and I come into the office and all excited, and then I get a message of somebody just dumped our chart with sold clipped us all $5,000 worth of banks off our chart. And I mean, my phone was blowing up, and we had just started doing some promotion with Michael with Freeman Finance and doing some videos, and just momentum was going well, but we had just started, and and I said, no, this is what happened, and they verified it, checked it, all that kind of stuff, and realized that they had millions of dollars sitting in that wallet. So I was like, oh, okay, this it's not a big exchange. It's a small exchange, but they had millions in there. So I was like, okay, this is somewhat got to be trusted. And so I had to I bought back the chart, $5,000, uh, to my community, for the community. And that was, I had to eat it. I had to tell the team, look, this is what happened, and just buy it back for the community and for what we're doing. And so it was, hard lesson, but we have a system in place now where we don't send any money without the multi-sig, right? So that multi-sig happens. We do have a limit on it. We have multi-sig with a limit of what we can do without a multi-sig, but for the most part, everything is over $1,000 is a multi-sig. So just setting some of these things in place for long term growth, for what we're trying to do, so we don't make that mistake, because that's a painful one, man. It was painful for our integrity. Number one, the good thing is the blockchain, and the $5,000 was sent from the bank's marketing wallet, so it was the $5,000 in banks, was sent from our marketing wallet. So clearly, right, we're very transparent in all that we do, right? So we were clearly justified and you know shown that we were doing the right thing, but ultimately it was a $10,000 mistake.
Man,
It
that's so
hurt.
brutal. I'm so brutal. You know, it,
Yeah, I don't think I've told you that one before.
no, no, sorry to hear that. Some of these guys have gotten so good, right? It's their livelihood. And, it's so important that we verify, triple, quadruple, pentuple verify, man. It's because shit like this. And to your point, right? It puts the bank's name on the line, right? Like you didn't do anything wrong, but these guys are so good at convincing you of legitimacy, right? They are so good at it. Some of them will
Yeah,
take weeks to get you to agree, right? And so I, I hate it, but it's an expensive lesson, my friend. I've had many of those. I just hope we don't have any more.
exactly, exactly. Well, look, we're getting close to wrapping up. I want to keep it close to an hour, but look, if you're in here, we're giving away $50 today, two $25 USDC. Make sure you get in the room, retweet the room. We'll do that selection. And again, Skitten is providing $25 of that drawing that we'll do, and Banks is doing the other 25. We'll do it our same fun traditional way. The team will we'll run the wheel, and it'll be transparent. You'll see it posted. The winners, you guys, most of y'all may know how we do it, but you'll see it. I'm not sure if they'll do it tomorrow or Sunday, but you'll see it, and then we'll get that out. But look, just one more question, then we're going to do some close here. But if crypto Twitter, right, if X were to go away tomorrow, right, like what what would you do, right, for the Skitten brand, and I'll share what I would do with the Banks brand. What would you do, right, if Twitter just went away, right? We weren't able to do what we do right now on Spaces. How would you see being able to kind of rebuild the distribution for Skitten?
I'd sigh a sigh of relief. Hallelujah. No, no.
Now, I didn't say Telegram. I didn't say Telegram.
Yeah, no, I know. You're
I
right.
want
You're right.
Telegram to go away, not oh, yeah.
So true. So true with
Besides the sigh of
Telegram.
relief, what would you do?
Well, so we've gotten on Zora, we've gotten on Farcaster, we've gotten on Base App. We're really trying to, we're on TikTok. We have very big presence on TikTok. Obviously, we got Telegram, but that's a necessary evil, in my opinion. But it's so we've built a myriad of different channels and socials to keep spreading the word and keep communicating and keeping all those socials available, right, for communication. So I mean, the thing is, it certainly would hurt, right? I think we all agree there, but that's why it's so important to not put all your eggs in one basket, right? Is to diversify, right? And in this case, diversifying social, ways to communicate is very key.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I think when the team gave me this question today, these questions, I was like, that's a hard one, right?
Yeah.
Because X is Twitter is one of the first things that we kind of lean on, right? I mean, that's why it's kind of crypto Twitter, right? Like we lean on that as a project to get to know all our PFPs and get to know each other a little bit, and we kind of probably take it for granted more than we think, and
Yeah.
for us, it's kind of the same thing, right? Would be we're just now reaching out, going to be doing more different socials, right? Diversifying a little more with our social outreach. I know for us, our TG, we're slowly closing, not close. I guess we're keeping it open as far as like an announcement, buy bot, that kind of stuff. But there's so much noise and scammers. You've probably been scammed. Most of your scams probably came through TG, if I had to guess, right? And
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of the day, it's we're trying to operate as a business to provide more people the opportunity to find their success in their investment. And then you got to somewhere calm down the noise, right? You got to minimize the noise. And at the end of the day, X and there's other channels right out here that we can leverage and do better to get our messaging across without the noise. So for us, and plus, we have on chain TV and what we're doing there. So look, let's get close to closing here, and at the end here, Chug, tell me a little bit. What's something that the people listening now, we're going to post this as well on Chain TV. What is something that the audience, you'd want someone listening to do and to help with the Skitten project?
Adopt and let us pay for it. No, go check out our website. Go check out our socials for yourself, right? Ask questions. Be open. This is a very long-term project, right? And we want to do charitable things, but we want to make our holders, have a nice bag. Ultimately, generationally wealthy, right? And to do the right thing and to be well and gain wealth out of it, I don't think there's anything better on this planet, right? And so we're trying to
Yeah,
facilitate that. But, with your help, with the community's help, collectively, we can all do that, right? What you're doing with on-chain TV is so prolific. It's going to be so profound, that's really going to be our gateway, right? For true attention, for true adoption is what you guys are doing. It's just, I'm happy to be even talking to you, my friend Sean, and to be considered for something like this. This is a perpetual effort that we have to keep employing to get to where we want to be. Nothing's easy. Nothing worth doing is going to be easy, right? And we've seen in the past almost year, you too, have seen the trials and tribulations of something so profound, so potentially amazing, world changing. And, it's just take a look at us, see what we have to offer, feel free to ask questions, adopt, reach out to us. We'll take care of you. Again, we got about 30 more adoptions we want to pay for this year to hit our 100 adoptions goal. So please help us out. We want to help you. Help me help you.
yeah, man, that is awesome, man. And guys, you hear what he's saying? He's going to give you up to $250 to go save a kitten. And and again, I just encourage everyone listening, if it's currently right now live or on a replay here, I just encourage you, to believe in some projects, right? Believe in somebody. There's Buster. Thanks for coming in, guy. Glad you're here, man. You see other people on here, believe in their community, like Waldo, right? Ziggy. There's just good projects, and just believe in something. If you can't buy the token and support the token, the community help would be greatly appreciated as well, right? So I encourage everybody here. Look, banks. My ask, right, to everyone listening, is to go over to onchaintv.io. It's 100% free. Create a user account. It would mean the world to me. We had a few people sign up from our space on Tuesday. We need way more, right? And if you create any kind of content, the platform is being improved every single day from an onboarding standpoint. The user side is pretty. I mean, I'd say probably 98% perfect right now from a user side, and just getting better every day is creating a channel. But man, it would mean a lot to the Banks family and the team. It's free, right? We've got some cool updates, UI changes coming to the platform as well. So that would be my ask, as we look for support, not in necessarily buying our token, but just creating a free user account. So again, thank you everybody for joining in. We're going to give away the $225 here. We'll do the raffle either later today or sometime tomorrow. You'll see it posted with the wheel. And guys, just continue to stay safe and continue to stay based. And let's keep working hard for each other and supporting each other and making the space safer. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you.